My name's Daniel Argueta. I fight out of Jackson Wink Academy in Albuquerque, New Mexico. By way of Chicago, Illinois, Orland Park to be exact. And right now I'm residing in Southern California, training under my main mentor, Cub Swanson.
Very cool. Talk to us about how you got started in martial arts. How did this journey begin for you?
A troubled college kid. I thought I was bad to the bone when I was in college, and I was wrong. My first day, training MMA with Cub Swanson and Juan Archuleta, they beat the hell out of me, and that was actually also the first time I didn't get a job, because 3 days later I had to go into an interview with two black eyes.
That's great.
Yeah, They taught me quick that I wasn't bad at all. I was just a dumb kid. And Cub took me under his wing quickly. Before that, I got sent down to Jackson Wink to work with Holly Holm for wrestling. But, it's just been amazing. Since I was a little kid, I was always surrounded by great men, great role models. My family, my coaches, my friends. And then to continue this journey with, these role models of mine, man, I'm so lucky. I don't get exposed to any of these things I shouldn't be around, like a little kid again.
That's awesome. So you were in college in Southern California, I guess, and
No, I went to the University of Wisconsin Parkside. I wrestled for 4 years. That troubled kid ended up deciding on quitting his 5th year of school with a scholarship. There's a quote that I always used, because the wrestling coach that originally recruited me, he was an older gentleman. He actually passed away a year and a half after I graduated. And when I was getting ready to quit the team, I wasn't focused on school, wasn't focused on wrestling. I was focused on Miller Lite and Jack Daniels. I had a great time, I thought. And, he said, well, Dan, why do you want to quit the team? He said, what's important now? I was like, honestly, graduating. I just want to graduate. I just want to finish what I started. He goes, so no wrestling? I'm like, my head's not there anymore. I don't think I'm good to compete anymore. And he said, well, you got to win. You got to just think about winning. W-I-N. What's important now? And that forced me to actually quit the wrestling team and focus on my grades, get some internships, and begin working. And then I think within a week of quitting, I ended up in Izzy Martinez's wrestling room, coaching his academy and coaching at the high school. And then got introduced to Anthony Pettis, and then eventually Cub and Archuleta, and started training with these guys. But that was my first taste of MMA. It was just that, and I bring that quote back. That quote's been back with me ever since we found out about the show. It's what's important now. All the hard miles at night, in the morning, each practice, each round, each little piece of food going into my system, what's important now.
That's awesome. So you start training with those guys, you're teaching the wrestling academy though, right? Are you thinking, hey, maybe I'll be a pro fighter like this? Or
Hell no.
So how does that happen?
You know what? I think I lied to myself a little bit. I definitely lied to myself. I said, yeah, I'm going to fight. Izzy'd be like, all right, man, well, stop going to the bar. I'd be like, yeah, I'm okay with coaching. Never mind. I'm having too much fun. And that changed. Once I saw the way those guys lived their lives, I wanted that. Once I joined training camp with Cub Swanson after I was done coaching, his wife was pregnant with their first baby, Royal, and I just saw the way he was able to run his family dynamic. My dad was, he's the greatest dad ever, and he was barely around when I was a kid because he was working his ass off. You know, he was my age, and he had a house, a business, 2 kids already. I wasn't born until he was 35. He said I was special ordered. I was the only planned one. But yeah, it all goes back to being surrounded by great men, great role models, and you know, my mom too. She's a sweetheart. But yeah, it was that taste of a perfect family dynamic one day, because I always had a great family, and it's just amazing to see myself get closer to that goal. You know, my girlfriend and I, we're doing big things. She met a guy that was training with Ray Borg for a world title fight. That was the guy that she met off Tinder. That guy. So I got to live up to that guy every single day for the last 4 years until I get mine. And, you know, she's actually in dental school right now. She decided to, she says that she's following me to California, but her job's way more important. I followed her to USC to hang out with my buddies and do karate all day. So it's been quite the journey. You know, we're doing something special. You know, Cub Swanson always told me, he's like, what you and Alejandro have can be something beautiful if you focus. If you focus on your career and know what's important at the moment. And this is important. I got to establish my career, my legacy, before I can establish a family and a home and make sure she gets through school. And, you know, it's like a movie. I'm just happy to be here and living it.
That's awesome. So you're chasing this dream and, you know, making the sacrifice to get there. The Ultimate Fighter, did you ever even consider this as an option? I mean, obviously it's been gone for a couple years, so did you ever think that this would happen to you?
Not exactly. I never saw myself as a 15 minutes of fame or reality TV star kind of guy, but once my friends found out about it, they were like, oh, you have to do it. You know, Cub sent me the commercial for it, and I'm like, cool. And he's like, yeah, you're doing it. I'm like, it's at 135, man. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, so I'm making 35 multiple times. He's like, yeah, you don't got a choice. And I'm like, let's do it. I'm down. I'm ready. And, you know, once we told the coaches, you know, Greg, Wink, they were happy. Training partners were happy with it. My family was stoked about it. And it wasn't a matter of if I get on the show. It was when I get on the show, how am I going to perform? How am I going to handle the house? How am I going to handle the fight to fight? And, you know, the more that time's gone on, I've come to realize I've been training for this my whole life. You know, I had to lose to my buddy named Ryan every freaking weekend, have sleepovers with him, hang out with him, and go wrestle him every weekend and get my ass beat. You know, I'm used to living with my competition, you know, and I got the better end of the stick, you know, with my boy Ryan, and he's still one of my friends to this day. I was one of his last high school wrestling matches, and I got the W. But, you know, and then in college, living with 5, 6 other guys at a time, competing against each other for our starting spots. You know, I was a captain of my wrestling team in college, so that's something that I'm still carrying with me. So I wouldn't want to force it on these guys to be a captain. You know, at the end of the day, it's competition. You know, I stopped looking at these like fights, more like competition. I'm going to enjoy this process, have fun, and as long as I'm having fun and enjoying it, then I'm doing my job. That's it.
That's awesome. Last thing for me, you know, obviously, you know, you win this, you're in the UFC. I mean, do you feel you're UFC ready at this moment?
When I win it, I will be. Obviously, it's one fight at a time. These fights, just like any other fights or competitions, they're experience. You know, that experience is going to bring you up a notch. You know, a perfect example is Michael Chiesa, from his first fight to his championship fight in the Ultimate Fighter. Day and night. You know, looked like a completely different fighter the way he was composed and handling it. But I think where I struck gold is, I'm training with two of the top bantamweights in the world. I'm training with Juan Archuleta and TJ Dillashaw. You know, the amount of rounds we put in grappling with each other, and both of them are college wrestlers, good grapplers. You know, training with Cub Swanson, one of the nastiest strikers on the planet. It doesn't get much better than that. I've seen it. I've seen some of these guys have 15 fights, and I'm like, oh man, I only got 5 of those, and those feel like ages. But then you add up all my wrestling and the weight cutting, the rounds since I began. I'm right there. I'll rise to that occasion. Hopefully I can rise further than some of my competition. But what I've thought of these last couple nights was, yeah, they might have more fights than me, more Instagram followers, but it's my turn. I waited in line. I put in that hard work. I'm gonna cut the line. I'm gonna cut in front of these guys. I've been preparing myself mentally, physically. I'm a different animal. I'm ready to go.